You've probably heard me talk about this before, but years ago, my family wrote a personal purpose or mission statement. I don't force the kids to say it daily like I did when they were younger, but it's still a major graphic on our wall. Every once in a while, I'll ask them, who are we? And they say, we are Evanses. We are kind, considerate, look for lonely people, thankful and giving because of Jesus. If you don't know who you are or what you are about, the world will tell you. And I don't want the world to tell me or my kids who we are. Therefore, my purpose statement for my family is a guide, a reminder, and no matter what is happening in life, this is who we are. Since we know that, and we know who we are, we know what we can do next. At first, we have similar statements. Know Christ, make Christ known. Everything we do as a church fits into this purpose statement. Where do we get this? We get this from a core value. It's a purpose statement built on a purpose statement. Core value number 4 here at first is we believe disciple making is an essential calling of every follower of Jesus. We have 10 core values. We have our 6 G's, grace, growth, groups, gifts, giving, going. All these different monikers, sayings, they're all mission statements that are built on our purpose to know Christ and to make Christ known. They remind us of who we are, what we do. They inspire us to react and act. Now, I promise you that your company that you work for, they have a purpose statement as well. It's probably something like, we exist to improve every life through innovation and giving and building of community and distributing the best products and services to our customers. All right, like I totally just made that up, but I'm willing to bet if you got on your website, you would find that your statement is very similar. Statements like that help remind, focus, and keep employees on track. So when I say, kids, who are we? They without questions repeat, Evanses. We are kind, considerate, look for lonely people, thankful and giving because of Jesus. Do you know your purpose? Have you ever thought about writing it out? This might be a little strange in a setting like this. However, let's figure that out now. You don't need to write out a little saying like I have. You don't even need 10 core values or even a completely perfected sentence or two. However, you have to know your purpose and clearly write it out. We want to help you begin to develop a purpose statement here. And here are 2 simple questions that you can ask yourself to get started. Why? What is your why? Another way to think about this question would be, what do I do, or what do I stand for, and what do I do, and what do I want to be about? What is my family plan, or what is my personal process? See, in my family mission statement, it's because of Jesus. Because of Jesus, we are blank. That's a simplistic church answer, I get it, but that's how I got to mine. So why is the first question? And the second question to be thinking about is how? How am I going to do this? Does this statement help me, push me, or drive me towards actions that answer my why? Because of blank, I am going to do blank. Okay, I know I just tossed this at you with no warning, but you can start this. No matter your age, we all need reminders of our purpose. Take a moment and privately or as a family, think about your why and your how. And then I want you to begin developing a quick word or a sentence that can help you live out your purpose.
Okay, Matt, I'm still working on that purpose statement. It's not complete yet, but I can see how defining our purpose helps us make sense of and give direction to this one and only life that we've been given. You know, the internet and bookstores are full of articles and books addressing the subject. Rick Warren's book, The Purpose-Driven Life, has sold over 50 million copies alone. We want to know, why am I here? And that follow-up question, how should I live then? In a roundabout way, a man asked Jesus about this, assuming that following a set of rules was the answer. He asked, "Teacher, which is the greatest commandment in the law?" And Jesus replied, "Love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, and all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment. And the second is like it. Love your neighbor as yourself. All of the laws and prophets hang on these two commandments. Jesus was actually turning the tables on the assumption that purpose could be found in following a set of rules. In another encounter, a young man asked Jesus what good thing he must do to inherit eternal life. Jesus, testing him, told him to obey the commandments. The young man answered that he kept all the commandments from all of his life, but said, "What do I still lack?" And this was really perceptive. This young guy knew in his soul that just rigidly obeying commandments wasn't cutting it. That kind of life might regulate behavior, but there was still something lacking inside. Jesus then told him, "Sell everything and give it all away, and follow him." But the young man sadly turned away and left. What Jesus understood that the young man didn't is that the young man was living with morals, but not with purpose. He was following the rules, but had not yet given his life to God. There was obedience, but no relationship. One of the passages that has always intrigued me is found in 2 Corinthians. Paul is writing to the church in Corinth, urging them to generously give to support the home church back in Jerusalem, which was going through persecution and famine. He used the churches in Macedonia as an example for them. Paul wrote, "For I testify that they gave as much as they were able, and even beyond their ability. Entirely on their own, they urgently pleaded with us for the privilege of sharing in this service to the saints." Great! The Macedonian churches were very generous, and before we think that things were going well for them and they had extra funds that they could afford to give, Paul described these churches as, out of their most severe trial, their overflowing joy and their extreme poverty welled up in rich generosity. Normally, that's not the recipe for rich generosity. What motivated these churches, these people, to behave this way? Well, Paul tells us. He writes, "They did not do as we expected, but they gave themselves first to the Lord and then to us in keeping with God's will." That is the secret sauce. They gave themselves to God, and that defined their purpose in life. When your purpose in life is to align with God's purpose for you, then everything changes. Life has meaning beyond the tasks of the day. We see this play out in our lives all the time. Because we give ourselves to our grandkids, we drive to Overland Park 3 times a week to watch them play soccer, or sit through a 3-hour recital just to finally see her dance. Because we give ourselves to a friend, we ask, "How are you doing?" And we really mean, "How are you doing?" And then we take the time to listen. Because we give ourselves to a younger brother or sister, we give them the bigger piece of the candy bar after we've broken it in two. Because we give ourselves to her, we watch The Holiday for the 150th time. Or because we give ourselves to him, we watch an utterly meaningless football game just to hang out in the same room. Because we give ourselves to God, we get up to the church at 6:30 on a snowy Sunday morning to shovel the sidewalks and clear the parking lot. Because we give ourselves to God, even though there hasn't been a grade school kid in our family for many years, we show up every Sunday to teach children about Jesus. Because we give ourselves to God, we give obediently and sacrificially to support the missions and ministries of First. And that's all great. When we give ourselves to God, it shows up in our lives like that, but that's in here. And other than a few of us that are on staff, most of us spend most of our time out there, out in the job, out in the school, out in the home, out in the world. Maybe, just maybe, our purpose is to show the people out there how a person who has given themselves to God lives. Could your purpose be to show the people at your job how someone who's given themselves to God works? Could your purpose be to show the kids at your school how a person sold out to God thinks and talks and acts? Could your purpose In your family, be to show your kids how a man who has given himself to God treats his wife, or a godly woman treats her husband. Could your purpose be to live clear footprints for your younger brother or sisters to follow, to grow into a godly young purpose? Matt, I think this is clearing up things for me. My purpose is a lot different than just making it through another day. My purpose has a purpose. At first, our church's purpose is to know Christ and to make Him known. And since the church is all of us, that purpose should spill over into our lives. So in your life group, talk about what is your life's purpose. And what's keeping you from living with this kind of purpose in your environment, at your work, at your school, in your neighborhood, in your home?